another one.
Hey guys, Brendan here, aka Brembo, and we're back again with another mod. I finished the exhaust up you guys saw with the downpipe, so now it's time to finish up the intake. After I'm done with that, I can put more exterior mods on and make it even better. But I gotta finish what I started. So I'm back at it with another product from USP Motorsports. Please sponsor me, I really appreciate it. But great website, like I said before, fast shipping. I just ordered this 2 days ago, it already came, and they're in Florida. So I'm in Michigan, it comes really fast, standard shipping and everything. So a lot of you guys won't know what this is because a lot of people don't do this, especially with newer cars, they don't really have this separate. It all just comes in one piece. You guys will see what I'm talking about, but I'll unbox this quick and then get back to you guys about it. So for you guys that could not tell what this part is from the unboxing, this is a turbo inlet hose. So what this does is this fat part, goes to my colder intake which I installed, and then this goes directly to the turbo. And you might be wondering why I got this part, like you've probably never seen this done before, and the reason is, usually when you buy a colder intake, it comes with a long tube that goes to the turbo or the throttle body of the engine if you don't have a turbo already. But this one is a short ramp intake, so it only has basically the filter and the housing. So I need to buy this part to connect to the turbo, which would usually come with a colder intake on cars nowadays. And basically all these ports just go to the different like mass airflow sensor, diverter valve, and all that stuff. But the reason that this is better than, because I have one already, the reason this one's better is it's way thicker and bigger. So like an exhaust pipe, you want bigger in diameter, smoother inside to increase airflow. And then the one on the car right now, it's rumored right from the factory even to get compressed during boost. So it turns really skinny. And since this is 160,000 miles on it right now, it definitely collapses under boost. So I definitely need this. It says it'll give me about 5 horsepower and then 15 horsepower with a tune. So once I get this tune, a lot of things will benefit a crazy amount. My intake, my downpipe, my exhaust, this, and other parts I'll be getting. So in the long run, this will actually help a lot, especially if mine compresses a lot right now. So that's basically why I got this, just for the problem with it compressing, and I'll get to the installation. So to begin, VW, Audi, Porsche, they all give you these really junky clamps. I don't know if you can see it, but there's this little bubble above the clamp, and it's a one-time clamp. You have to cut that off, and then you don't have a clamp anymore. So that's why USP Motorsports or Forge, the people who make the intake hose, give you regular screw clamps, as you can see, like I did with the cold air intake. You can just unscrew it, super easy. So it's a kind of a pain. You got to cut all these little bubbles off, and there's tons of them. There's like probably 15 of them all in this little cluster right here that the cut off, because this is the part I'm replacing. If you can see, here's the cold air intake, it stops right here, and then this is the tube all the way to the turbo, which I'm replacing. So I can leave my cold air intake in place. I can keep the mass airflow sensor on. I'm just going to unscrew this bolt and then just cut all these little clamps off and just take off all the stuff that's connected to this turbo inlet hose. And then I'll get back to you after I do that. It shouldn't take too long, but I'll have to see. I've never done something like this, so this is brand new. And I'll get back to you guys after I'm done with that. Little FYI guys, I was using wire cutters before, very difficult, I couldn't even get one off, but then I used metal snips, like sheet metal snips, and it got off right away. So if you guys are doing this, use sheet metal snips and save yourself some time, because these work like a charm, and I'll get back to it. So I've countered another problem. The metal snips work perfectly for the ones that you can reach, but the ones that you can't reach, you gotta use a Dremel. And it's kind of sketchy because you got all these rubber parts, but you just gotta be really careful and slowly get at it. So I'm gonna use this Dremel for mostly all of them because they're really hard to get to. So I'm gonna use this. Safety first. Just kidding, no one uses glasses. No, actually use glasses. And I'll cut all these clamps. I think they're called like nose clamps or something they call them. I looked it up online. And then I'll get back to you after I cut all the clamps and I'm about to take the tube off. So peace. So just a little update. I took off all the 4 clamps on the top and there's still one on the very bottom. And I was wondering how to get to it. So I looked it up on YouTube and you have to lift up the bottom of the car and unscrew it to the turbo under it. I thought you could all do it from the top. So I'm gonna have to jack this thing up and then unscrew the 2 bolts to get under, like to get it off the turbo. And then I can take out that last clamp and then I can just take the whole thing out. And the bottom of it is rubber, like on the new one, but there's also a metal piece connected to it. So I was really confused, but I guess you just take that whole part out, the metal with the rubber combined. So I'm gonna jack the car up, unscrew the 2 bolts on the turbo, take off the last clamp, and then I'll get back to you when I'm about to put the new one in. So I just lifted up the car. I'm gonna get under, unscrew the 2 bolts that connect the turbo inlet pipe to the turbo, and then I'll be able to get the pipe out, be good to go, and install. Okay guys, I got under the car. So this is the shield that you have to take off. 2 bolts, 16 millimeter, fairly easy. But there's one bolt you have to take off that's connected to the turbo, and it's a Allen wrench, but it's pretty hard to get to because there's a hose and it's really close to it. So like it hits this part of the Allen wrench, so it's very hard to get to, and I haven't figured it out yet, but I'm pretty sure I will. But I was looking at other videos and Jettas in them don't have that hose. So it's kinda, I'm gonna have to figure this out. But also, change the shirt. It's pretty oily under there, just tip of advice if you're wondering. And then, get that, I got the last clamp because it's right by the bolt. So you have to go like under the car to get this bolt under this last clamp. So I just use the wire cutters because it's easy to get to, so I had to use the Dremel. But I will tell you guys how I get this last Allen bolt off, where I get it off. But I'm pretty sure it's kind of easy. I'm just not thinking or something. But after I get that off, I'll be able to pull off the whole turbo inlet hose with the new one. Okay guys, I got the hose off. It took forever. It took 2 people, one guy maneuvering at the top, one guy at the bottom, and we just had to wiggle it out. And it was hard because there's this black wire that is like really tight against it. That's why it's hard to get the Allen bolt off. So you have to like wiggle it around that wire, and it's really hard to get out. But it's easy after that. You just pull it out. This new one I think is easier because it's not metal like the old one, so you can flex it a little bit and get it under it. So here's the aftermarket one and the stock one, also known as not junk and junk. So the difference between the two is right here it's like a 1/2 inch skinny. On this one it's ginormous. So basically where all the bends are on this is where it's bigger. So on this bend it's thicker, this bend it's not as thick. And basically that's what makes the extra horsepower and better airflow. And this part where the hose goes up to is higher than on this one. So this one's going to be a lot easier to put on than the old one. But you might be thinking, the stock one is metal, so it's better apparently. But actually, it's not, because this plastic's going to be a lot easier to put in, install, and it's going to expand easier. And this metal doesn't. And it just takes up so much room and makes it so skinny. Like, it's hard to explain, but this is super, super skinny. But I just wanted to show you that before I put the new one in. So let's get to the installation. So from what I've read, you want to put the part that goes to the turbo in first, because it's easier. You can just make your way up to the top. So I'm first going to put this part on because it's going to be really hard to put on down under the car. So I'm going to put this part on and then clamp this part to where the turbo goes, and then just put these parts on, and then I should be good. It's been a long time. I got this part at 2 o'clock, and it's now about 9 o'clock. So it's taken all my day, but it's a lot harder than I thought it was going to be, but it's been fun, so I'm not that mad about it. But I'll get to installing this, and then I'll see you guys after. So I have now installed this in, I'm just putting all the clamps back on, but it's a tight fit, and as you can see, I have this gap right here, and I also have a gap by the turbo. So I'm gonna have to try to fix that and see if I can wiggle it in and get that little bit amount back in on both sides. But besides that, it's just easy, just putting these clamps back in, all this stuff, the rotor valve and the sensors, that's all easy. It's just getting the big tubes back in. Because all these, they just push in. I don't know if you can see, and then just clamp it. But this was a pretty hard install, I would say. I'll give a summary after the installation, but it was a pretty hard installation for sure. Two-man job for sure, unless you were like some expert or something, but it's a pretty hard install for sure, the hardest on the car so far, but it's gonna help me in the long run, so I'm pretty excited about that. Okay, we done. It is a week later. If you looked at my Instagram, you would see that I was on vacation for 4th of July. So I started this before 4th of July. Just got back today to finish this up. So it sat here for like 5 days just on these stands. But that's why I cannot post a video Monday. I'm very sorry for that. It won't happen again unless I go on vacation for a long period of time. I had no internet access or my laptop to edit or post the video, so I'm sorry for that. I'm deeply sorry. Because I would love to share my content with you guys. But I got it done. This is for Thursday's video, so happy to get this out for you guys. But I got this on. Like I said, the last part I did right now was very tricky. It took 2 people, and it took a long time. Probably like 8 hours total this whole thing took. And I'm kind of disappointed by how long it took, but I didn't expect it to be this hard at all. Like if I would have known this, I would have got this done professionally. Just because there's so much stuff you have to worry about being in place and being so perfect and making sure everything's tight so nothing comes undone. And I'm still lenient about this. I'm going to drive this and be extra cautious just to make sure it's still okay when I drive this. But I'm pretty sure it's okay. I got to keep checking every time I drive it just for the clamps to see if they're tight enough and if they moved or anything. But if this is successful, it'll help me out a lot. The old one, like I said before, I'm going ahead of myself, was very restrictive, and I can totally see how this gains you at horsepower, like totally. So I'll show you some close-ups of this. It looks very good. I cleaned it up. It was a little dirty after getting deep in the motor and everything, but after a tune, this thing should be perfect because there's so much air going in this thing now, it needs more fuel. So I really need this tune. I'm gonna add one more thing, actually 2. I'm not gonna say yet either, but add those 2 things, get the tune, and everything should benefit really smooth, and I'm expecting a lot of gains out of this, especially with all these little things I've been doing. Just keep stacking up that horsepower. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I'm sorry I couldn't show myself working on this because a lot of it was under the car, and it would be like very hard to film and just took forever, and it would be a huge time lapse, and I don't know, it just would have been terrible footage. So I just thought I wouldn't do it. So I'm sorry for not showing you guys because I know a lot of you guys want me to show you me like putting stuff on. A lot of people are just like, I want to see you working on it, and I want to, but just for this project it wasn't it. The next project I'm doing next, you guys will see a lot of it because that's all on top of the motor and you will see every single thing. So that's how I get back to you guys. But I'm sorry for the footage, I'm sorry for not posting Monday, but I hope everything's good with you guys. I'll see you guys next video, and I will see you guys later. Peace out.